Your Help presents Stress-Free Living with Ray Samich and Mr. Stress-Free, Ratanjit S. Sandhi. This audio program is an unscripted and unrehearsed conversation between Ray and Ratanjit. It is shared with you in hope of adding value to your life. We encourage you to listen to this program in its entirety to receive the full impact of its message. Sit back, relax, open your heart, mind, and soul to this edition of Stress-Free Living.
Welcome to Stress-Free Living. Hello, everybody. I'm Ray Samich, and I'd like to introduce you. It's always my great pleasure to introduce our co-host of our show and my dear brother, Ratanjit Sandhi. Ratanjit, how are you today?
Wonderful, Ray. How are you?
Great, thank you. Good to have you. We also have some of our Zoom guests with us here today on our call. We are broadcasting, of course, on AM, FM radio, as well as streaming worldwide at wintradio.com. And our shows are out there for you to catch anytime, 24/7 on our YouTube channel, Stress-Free Living Radio. So however you join us, we welcome you and we thank you for being a part of our show. Ratanjit, interesting topic today, one that I personally means a lot to me because the word loyalty, I think my father, ingrained in me how important it is to be loyal, to find things to believe in and to be true to those. And some of those loyalties to me were relationships, whether they are your marriage or your long-term relationship with a significant other, or with friendships, loyal to your family, your brothers and sisters, your parents, your children. And then there was the loyalty to your career, to your job, so that you started a relationship at that job and you learned it and you did well by it and you were loyal to your boss and you were loyal to your colleagues at work. And in all those areas today, the statistics bear out that there really is no loyalty. In the job market, the average person works for a company it's 4 years. The average amount of period of time is 4 years at a job. And yet, what's crazy about that is that includes people that are still working 20, 30, 40 years at a job, but the average is 4 years. In a relationship, marriages are still at about a 50% divorce rate. So 50% of marriages end in a divorce. But a lot of people aren't getting married and they're just living together. So the average relationship for couples in this country is 3.5 years. So you can get married and 50% don't have loyalty, or you can be in a relationship and be loyal for 3.5 years and then you move on. So is loyalty obsolete? Is the idea of being loyal a thing of the past and we should just accept it and move on?
Well, Ray, it's like light is a consequence of something bright. And loyalty in itself doesn't exist. It's a consequence of something else. And if we are, you are married for how many years now?
44.
Is that a loyalty? No. It's your loyalty to your wife and her loyalty to you is a consequence of undying love for each other. So loyalty is a consequence of something else. And loyalty often, if it is not embedded in right values, can be a liability. Because of loyalty, we have fought wars. Because of loyalty in wrong thinking, we have killed people. Loyalty in wrong beliefs have destroyed the society. So loyalty by itself is not a positive thing.
Wow. Okay. I must say, as you have done before, you have blown my mind here a little bit with all these comments. You said loyalty doesn't exist, it's a consequence. And yet, and I'm not arguing with you, I'm just trying to understand that, because loyalty is a thing. It is, I mean, it is, you can describe it, you can see it, you can feel it, you know what it is. There is a definition for what loyalty is. I mean, you're saying it doesn't exist on its own. You can't have loyalty. You can only do other things that cause loyalty.
Well, if you ask somebody, be loyal, how would that person be loyal? Either you attach with that command, if you are not loyal, I'll kill you, then that person would be loyal. Or if you say, if you are loyal, I'll pay you this much money, then that person will be loyal. Or if you convince them that is the best thing for that person and for everybody involved, then that person would be loyal. So loyalty is a consequence, my friend. Loyalty by itself does not exist.
But again, I'm going back to my own personal life, 40, 50, definitely 55 years ago. My father would have the conversations about loyalty. He was a small business owner. So loyal employees were very important. And by the way, he was with my mother until he passed away. So they were married for 40 years. He died young. But so he believed in loyalty in a relationship, but he also really wanted to have loyalty with his employees. And so he stressed that, and he stressed that to me at a young age. He didn't do it under fear of, getting hurt, being punished. He didn't do it under a idea of a reward. He didn't say you'll be more successful if you're loyal, you'll make more money. He never talked about that. He talked about it as a characteristic of integrity. He talked about it as a characteristic of doing the right thing in life. And he didn't talk about it as a consequence. He talked about it as a character trait, to be loyal. Okay, so that's why I'm a little confused on this, because you are implying that unless there's a penalty to not be loyal or a reward to be loyal, it doesn't exist. I mean, can't it just be like kindness? Can't it just be like goodness and empathy? Can't it be a virtue like those things?
Well, see, if you are basically a loyal person, you are loyal to any situation. So now, if somebody puts you into a cult or puts you into a hate group or puts you into an organization which diminishes the value of society, and you are going to be loyal because that's what you are taught. You are a creative human being, you are a brilliant human being, and now you are loyal on the top, and you are attached to the wrong organization. What is that going to do to our society?
Well, that's a different, I mean, that was the second thing you brought up, and I want to go there too, because loyalty to the wrong things is not a virtue, but loyalty in itself, the idea of it, the concept of loyalty, to me still seems like it's something that has legitimacy. Like it is something that could exist and maybe even should exist, but no longer does.
Let me share a real story with you.
Okay.
You are intimately familiar with my working of my company.
Yes.
And we had no titles, and we had created operating principles, And that was our boss. That was our value system. And when we would hire people, we will expose them that this is what our value system is. Can you live with that? And if you can live with that, if you endorse that, then join us. It so happened that one of my secretaries, you knew Claudia,
Yes.
and she had a nasty divorce, and then she fell in love with this fellow in Baltimore. So she would go on a weekend to meet him, and he'll come back. One Monday she comes crying. He says, I don't know what to do. I can't do this because I love this job. I can't leave this, but I love my boyfriend. So I said, look, your personal love takes priority over the love of this company. So go there, because otherwise you'll be unhappy. You're not going to be. So she says, okay, then finally she decided, so, okay, help me with my resume. And I said, look, you know how we operate. I said, put first your operating values and your mission. And before you put down what your experience is, what you're capable of doing, and that should be your resume. So we put together her resume, and after she went to next time to Baltimore, she called me within 3 days and she says, so excited. She said, I applied for this job. There were 200 applicants. Later on, I came to know. They called me, and I had rehearsed with her how to do the interview. I said, if you do that interview, you'll be very powerful. So she had a meeting with an HR person, and she says, ma'am, before you spend any time with me or waste any time with me, I want you to know something. I am the person who cannot be loyal to a company or a person or anybody. Now, suddenly the jaws dropped. And then after a couple of seconds, he says, but I am loyal to these values. They are here on my resume. Now, I want to know what the value system your company has. If your values match my values, then automatically I'm loyal. I don't have to move out. I'll be here. I'll spend my entire life here working for you. And you know what HR person did? She got up and went to the president of the company. Said, sir, you got to talk to her. And that president created a new job for her, asking her to help them create a value system within the company. He says, yes, these are our values, but we have nowhere written down. We have nowhere advocated. So he was so impressed. So Ray, the problem we have today is that it's like a candle. Now, we are coming close to Christmas and candle lighting. We go to church, light a candle. When we buy a candle, there is a label attached to the candle. But if the candle is put in a heated environment, the label will fall off. The loyalty of the label is only under cold conditions. So what happens to us, we haven't found our true identity, true self, and as a consequence, we have not discovered what our true values are, and we are borrowing the values based on what is good for me, what is going to make more profit for me, what is going to benefit me, what is going to please me, so all our value systems are coming from what is in it for me.
Wow, there's so many layers of this onion to peel back. And that was a great story to really expose what we're talking about. So thank you for sharing that. And in a little sidebar comment, I don't I don't know how many employers would lose a good employee and be willing to help them write a resume and to practice their interview process when a good employee is leaving them. I mean, to me, that showed loyalty of you to Claudia, that you cared more about her as a person than as a employee of your company. So, I have to point that out. Maybe a good boss would say, okay, you really do need to leave. It probably is in your best interest. So I understand. But to go that extra mile and to say, and I'll help you write your resume and I'll help you practice to get a new job. Wow, that's way over and above what I think 99.999% of employers would do to help somebody get a new job. They might say, I'll write you a nice letter, and you dictate a letter in 2 minutes and you're done. But you took that to the next degree for sure. But let's get back to the main story. The concept of her loyalty to principles, has that fact kind of distorted my whole approach to loyalty? I mean, I think it's different today. I think the politics amongst us, between people, the divide of political beliefs, the divide of things like COVID, where families are being torn apart. Do you believe in getting a vaccine or don't you believe in it? Do you believe that this is real or don't you think it's real? Are you going to put masks on for your kids? And no, you're not. All those arguments that are happening, all those very, very derisive factors, to me, those are destroying the loyalty between friends and family. But are you saying that it really has nothing to do with today's times? I've always been misunderstanding loyalty. Is that what the bottom line is?
Yes. See, Ray, the thing is this. In our system, the most powerful force we have, which is driving us, is our insecurity. And the greater the insecurity is, higher the ego will be. And a lot of people will destroy themselves for the sake of ego. So the COVID or all these things are coming from the fact that I want to be right. And that is coming from ego-driven insecurity. Our whole society, how we are treated at job, how we are replaced instantly, how our hospital system, the people we trust, our doctors, take advantage of us, and how everything around us is there to use us. That is how our mindset feels. And it has elevated our insecurity to such a degree that it is reflected in the other side of the coin, which is ego. And as an ego, I want to be right under any circumstances. So we are not even friends with our loved ones, my brother or my sister or my 50-year-old friend. Suddenly, friendship disappears because of this false persona of I want to be right.
Wow, you just keep bringing new things to this topic that are, hard for me to stay with you on, and I want to so badly. You've just entered now ego/insecurity, and I guess let's look at that first. Ego and insecurity are very much related, huh? I mean, that's true? You're saying that in the absence,
more insecure you are, more ego you will have.
okay, so
and when you are secure, then there's no ego. Totally, if you are totally secure, there's no ego. And the total, when you cannot be totally secure until you realize the true self within you. I think before we go further, you should take a break.
I definitely need a break. I've got to reorganize in my brain here. My role on this is to ask the questions and try to put myself into the thoughts of our listeners and hopefully ask the questions that they are asking. And I just have a feeling they're all asking a lot of questions here right now. So I need to try to sort through this and come back. We're trying to relieve our stress. That's the purpose of this program, Stress-Free Living. And does loyalty, is it causing us stress? I know ego does. There's no question about it. Insecurity certainly does. But I never thought loyalty did. But maybe that whole concept is creating some stress for us too. We'll dissect this when we come back. This is Stress-Free Living. Please stay with us. All right, to our Zoom audience here, you've got a few minutes. If anybody would like to open your mic and make a comment, ask a question, please do.
I just have a question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Is loyalty a state of mind? And is it is a two-way process, not a one-way process? And we might be saying something and might be hypocrite in being loyal. So is it that way? I agree with Ratanjit when he says the loyalty towards the value system and virtues. If that is there, then I think that is the real loyalty. But if the loyalty is not with virtues or with a value system, it is not loyalty. It is just a hearsay, I should say.
Arrangement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything quickly? All right, I guess that's okay. We're coming back here in a moment anyway. Thank you. Boy, you're straining my little brain here today, Ratanjit, trying to.
You need a turban, my friend.
I need a turban to keep it all tied up in there, for sure.
It's going to blow up otherwise.
Yeah, I might blow up. If you see my head explode, I don't think we'll put that on YouTube. Okay, we are in our last ad here. Coming back. We are back on Stress-Free Living. Ratanjit Sande and yours truly, Ray Samich, with you today, talking about loyalty. Is loyalty obsolete? And in the process of understanding if it is and trying to answer that question, Ratanjit has given us a cornucopia of thoughts and ideas to dissect. And our wonderful Zoom audience, by way of our live call here today, have also added a couple of questions that we'll definitely get to in a moment. And if you'd like to be part of our Zoom audience, please do check out our link. It's on our Facebook page as well as at wintradio.com. And you can join us by Zoom every Saturday morning, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Ratanjit, let's go to the idea of insecurity and ego and drive that home a little bit. This show is not about that, but it's such an important point. I want to help understand that and drive that home. if you are secure in yourself, if you are secure that you really do know something and you do have comfort level with your abilities, then you don't need ego, I guess you're saying, because you don't have to manufacture confidence and security because it's real. But at the same time, we all know somebody who is really, really intelligent or really, really good at something. And you mentioned doctors earlier, so I'm going to continue to pick on doctors because I do know a lot of doctors who they are brilliant and they are competent and they are exquisite at their job, but they also have an ego. Okay. So they really do have tremendous abilities and skills and talents and education. Why would they should be secure in that, right? So if they're secure with their level of knowledge and ability and education capabilities, why would they need ego then?
But see, a lot of people who are successful, whether they're entrepreneurs starting a business or there are 2-3 reasons. If you have a purpose or a mission to start a business, that your loved one died of cancer and you want to find cure for that, you go become a research scientist and you become brilliant at that. You get a Nobel Prize and everything else. And now there you are, your success is driven by a purpose. Now, there are also people who are driven by a purpose to fulfill their needs, to become rich, to become famous, to be somebody. And sometimes that driven energy that drives you comes from insecurity. So if you are driven by insecurity and you achieve success and you take on a business somehow or other which ends up becoming very successful, you will have the greatest ego ever because your driving force is insecurity. So the driving force, if it is not the right force, you may reach the same place. But if your driving force is insecurity, you will have great ego. So there are many brilliant doctors who have no ego. They serve our society. But then there are brilliant doctors who have enormous ego because they originally came through the route of insecurity.
Okay, so transitioning back to loyalty, is loyalty a driving force? Is that another way of looking at loyalty? Is that, are you saying that you're doing that? Some people are pretending to be loyal. They're acting loyalty as a means of getting someplace else.
They're loyal to their greed. They're loyal to their mission. They're loyal to what they want to get for themselves. That is where their loyalty comes from. And anybody who can fulfill that, they'll be loyal to that person. If they come in the way, they will be disloyal to that person. So our loyalty is, again, you have to have a link to bring about a loyalty. If you find a handsome dude, a girl finds a handsome dude, her loyalty is to that handsome dude, or she finds somebody with a lot of money, her loyalty, which is reflected in her love or temporary love, is towards the money. So what we see in this world, loyalty is tied to our needs. They are never tied to our real value system, Ray, because although all of us claim to have values, but all our values are borrowed. Our parents gave us value. They said, be truthful, be kind. So just to please our parents, we were kind, we were truthful. Or our church gave us, our religion gave us values based on, I want to be a good Christian, or I want to be a good Hindu, or I want to be a good Sikh. I follow those values. But those are still borrowed values, because your true values have to come by discovering your true self.
I had referred to loyalty as a virtue earlier, talking about borrowed values. My dad taught me loyalty was a virtue that I should have. One of our guests said, is it a virtue or is it an arrangement? And I think your belief is that it is an arrangement. It's a means of getting someplace else, right? It really,
Yes.
It isn't standing on its own value. It is merely a tool that we used.
That's why companies create environment. They give you higher salary. They give you, many of these companies give you lunch. Many of these companies give you a little more vacation. So we compare, I'm getting better deal with this company, or should I go somewhere else? So our loyalty is to those benefits, not to the company.
You don't think it's possible though, and let's talk about the bloodline thing, okay? And not even marriage, because marriage is as beautiful as it is in my mind. It's two people choosing to be together. There is no bloodline on it until the two of them create one together. But loyalty to my father, okay, loyalty to my son, to my uncle, to my brother, when we know that we come from the same heritage, the same bloodline, the same culture, there seems to be a loyalty there that should be inherent, just because we can connect it at such a meaningful way. But that loyalty also seems to be gone. That idea that I'm going to be loyal to my brother, or loyal to my father, loyal to my uncle, whatever it might be. Am I just way off base here to think that there should be loyalty not based on even values or beliefs, but just based on the fact that we come from the same heritage? Isn't there a certain loyalty that should be present with that?
See, all loyalties, whether they are blood-related royalties or situation-related loyalty or job-related loyalty, are fulfilling your human needs. They are not driven by who you are. See, now, supposing a person loved his son, and they were very close. And suddenly, for some reason, there was a blood test done between the two, or their DNA was matched for some reason, and they found that that was not the same DNA. So the son he thought was his son was not really his son. So now at that point, what is going to happen to the loyalty? If
that was the driving force behind it, it no longer is there.
Right.
Right.
So now he or she has to find other reasons,
Right.
whether it is fulfilling the need, or it is helping him, or he's been a kind person, or whatever The reason are that is going to carry out their relationship going forward. But that relationship forever is cracked. It's never going to be the same.
Right? I would agree.
So our entire loyalty is selfish.
So the types of loyalty I mentioned, the bloodline loyalties, because I think most people can relate to that. Is that because we're actually looking at getting some security out of the fact that we do have a father or an uncle or a brother or a son or whatever it is?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it isn't loyalty to them as much as it is fulfilling a security within us.
Right.
Wow.
See, forever, doesn't matter how brilliant you are, how educated you are, how rich you are, how famous you are, how powerful you are, you will always remain insecure until you find the true security present within you. Security does not lie outside in trophies, medal, wealth, fame. Security lies in knowing who you truly are. And that is rarely we go there. Nobody helps us to go there. Our system is not ready to get us there. Everyone, including our religions, are trying to get something out of us.
To have loyalty, and maybe this is a meaningless question because you're kind of telling me loyalty doesn't exist, but one of our callers, one of our Zoom guests here asked if loyalty must be a two-way street. Is it possible in our real world application of loyalty, is it possible for me to be loyal to my job if my job isn't loyal to me?
That's an arrangement, right? That's how we have loyalty here. I pay you this much, you be loyal to my company. I don't cheat on you, you be loyal to me. Or so it is all arrangement. This is not true loyalty, because loyalty is a byproduct. Loyalty is outcome of either arrangement or my selfish need or my ego-driven persona. The true loyalty only comes if I find my true self. Otherwise, I'm not even equipped to be loyal.
All right, we are making some progress. I'm a little less confused than I was. Still some confused, but not as much as I was a few minutes ago. We're talking about loyalty. We're talking, does it exist? Is it meaningful? Is it necessary? Is it just an arrangement? Is it just a trade? I'll be good to you if you're good to me. I'll take out the garbage if you wash the dishes. Is that what loyalty is really about? And can it be, and should it be much more important than it is? We will come back and finish up this topic, or maybe not. We'll find out. This is Stress-Free Living. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, I do feel a little less confused. Anybody who'd like to join us for a quick comment or question, please do. We've got 90 seconds. Looks like it's you and me, brother. They're saving their thoughts for later when they have one.
Job.
What's that?
You both are doing a good job.
Oh, okay, thank you. I don't know. I'm not. This is a tough one today.
No, I clearly say loyalty initially in the first segment, which was ego-driven insecurity, and loyalty is really based on certain arrangements. And in companies, when it comes to relationship, it is again this. I personally feel it is the state of mind. Even
Yeah.
with your wife, you might be loyal in front of her, but maybe not.
All right. So Darby asked the question there through the chat, and that's where we are going to go in this last segment. Let me see where we're at. Oh. I lost track of time. I don't know where we're at. Just the one more spot. Jacob, did I miss the cue? No, not yet. Okay. Last spot. Okay. All right, we're back in a few. I forgot that we're on the air. I get so involved. Got a job to do.
One thing for sure is our show is.
We are back on Stress Free Living. We are so grateful that you are with us. Thank you for joining us, Ratanjit and Ray Samich. We are engaging in conversation while we are taking our radio breaks, and sometimes those are more interesting than even the show. If you'd like to catch the behind the scenes comments, they are part of our YouTube. We leave those on the YouTube broadcast. We don't eliminate those. So you can get all of those behind the scenes conversations if you check us out at Stress Free Living Radio on our YouTube channel. All right. So Ratanjit, we have really dissected this a lot, and you have totally changed my opinion on what loyalty is, starting for me, and I think many people, as an idea of a value, of a characteristic, of a trait. You, in summary here, came back and says, no, it doesn't even exist. It's only a consequence of other things. And then we went on to talk about, is it more than that even? Is it an arrangement? As one of our Zoom guests here said, is it just the state of mind in order to get somewhere, to get something? And you talk about it being basically kind of a trade-off with people. I'll be loyal to my job. If you pay me more, I'll be loyal to you. That really isn't loyalty by my definition of loyalty. That's just the contract, written or verbal, that says I'll pay you more and you stay. But loyalty to me was something so much more meaningful. Loyalty to me was just always misunderstood, I guess, as being something that was a true virtue. If I'm a loyal person, I looked at that as being something I aspire to be. And you're basically saying it's not even possible to be. Are you saying that? Are you saying it's not possible to be loyal?
No, it's not until you know who you are. So now look at scientifically, if we look at water, pure water, it is always extremely loyal to its properties. When you take the water and put it in the fridge, and when it reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius, it begins to freeze. It's loyal to that commitment to freeze.
Right.
It never bifurcates. It never changes that paradigm. So we basically, knowing that loyalty of all the matters, all the elements, and of the environment, or gravitational force never changes, is loyal to us. Although the scientists can nitpick on us, as it changes 0.000 some percent every time. So normally it never changes to a point that it affects what we do with it. So we can fly airplanes. The airplane is loyal to its commitment of flying, right? Because all these elements exactly know who they are. Only human being doesn't know who human being is. So we haven't found our true loyalty.
So as one of our Zoom persons asked on the last break, how do I find my true self?
Well, we have talked 1,000 times at the show. Fundamentally, we are driven by our five senses because human body is where we are placed in. We have been given this space suit to conduct our journey on this earth. My space suit has a different color than your space suit, and so on. All of these space suits have their own characteristics, and they are equipped naturally with five senses, which alarms this spacesuit if they are subjected to heat or cold or they're hungry. So this is spacesuit's five senses are given to us to keep this spacesuit alive and working well. But this spacesuit is still a spacesuit. So who am I? And I live in this spacesuit. So how do I find that? Because we know that the life which exists, which operates this spacesuit, is exactly the same in every one of us. Enlivening force present in each one of us is exactly the same. It is just like the light bulb. Each light bulb is connected to the same powerhouse. It has a live wire connection. Similarly, we have a live wire connection to one universal power. You can call it God, you can call it universal power, you can call it energy, you can call it any name you want. And that is who you are. And once you know your true self, then you also know everyone else. Then you are not insecure because that universal force is not subjected to heat, cold, dying, living. It is always there. It will always be there. So you begin to serve that force with all due respect to the spacesuit. You are grateful for this spacesuit. You do not abuse this. You nurture this spacesuit, which is your human body. You do not undermine that because this is a gift given to you and you are forever grateful for this gift. And under that circumstances, your loyalty comes from serving that power present within you and everyone else. So you become committed to utilizing unique creativity, unique wisdom, unique opportunity to add the highest value to everyone on this earth, including the environment. So that ultimately becomes your loyalty to add the highest value. That is who you are loyal to. You are loyal to this mission, and wherever, whoever can help you with that mission, you become loyal to that person. You become loyal to a company who helps you carry out that mission of adding the highest value. You become disloyal to the company who subtracts value to that mission. So that is how we become unconditionally loyal. We are suddenly positioned to now operate in loyalty.
So what if you and I are connecting on on everything you've just talked about, and I'm just doing this hypothetically. I mean, I think we are, but even if this was just a hypothetical question, if you and I both had that security of oneness, security of being part of the bigger one, we're loyal to that purpose, then
Right.
we also have a loyalty to each other, because you often talk about going to the same school or being in the same church or coming from the same family or whatever it is. Can there be loyalty then between Ratanjit and Ray because we both connect on oneness?
Yes, it automatically becomes, and suddenly you become loyal to even a stranger if they have the same mission. So all your relationship become obsolete in one sense, and your loyalty is only to that purpose of adding the highest value. If you select a spouse in your journey of adding the highest value, instead of whether that spouse is more beautiful or rich or handsome, you will evaluate whether that spouse, that partner is going to help you fulfill that mission of adding the highest value or no. So that is where your true loyalty comes in. If
So
that is the purpose, go ahead.
So in my question, I just said, can I have a loyalty with you? But it wouldn't be with your spacesuit, in other words, right?
Yes.
My loyalty would be with the real you.
Right.
Okay. So, and that explains then why you just mentioned the getting older. Okay. If I marry a beautiful, vibrant 20-year-old, okay, and if I am only loyal to her spacesuit, okay, it kind of helps me understand why marriages only last 3.5 years, relationships last 3.5 years, because if that spacesuit isn't as good as it was when she first met me or I first met her, if I don't look as good or if I don't talk as nice, so many people put on characteristics during their courtship. They act a certain way, right? And then when you actually start letting your guard down and you start really being who you really are, people say, gee, that's not the guy I thought he was.
Yes.
So we do so much at that spacesuit level that kind of helps me understand why you can't really be loyal to that.
We don't do so much at spacesuit level. We do everything at spacesuit.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Even to the point of defining who we are. Yeah. Yeah.
As a consequence, all our fights, all our misunderstanding, all that thing is all multiplying. And it all goes away the moment you realize who you are. And now a lot of people say, Ratanjit, okay, I believe that I'm going to go on that path. How do I put others on that path? It doesn't matter. As long as you are on that path, you begin to see goodness in everyone, because everyone has that power which enlivens them. And you stop judging them and you begin to serve them. As a consequence, you will automatically establish great relationship even with the strangers.
All right, Ratanjit, in 1 hour, you have totally revamped my thought process on what loyalty is, what it means. Can we have it? Is loyalty obsolete? It doesn't even make sense to ask that question, because it was really, true loyalty was always obsolete if you don't understand what it is and what it needs to be and who it really needs to be too, our true self. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your thoughts, your love with us here again, as always, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ray.
And thank you to all of our wonderful guests, Zoom, radio, internet, however you're listening or watching us. We appreciate and value you so very much. Remember, folks, we're all playing the same game. We'll talk to you again soon.